Welcome. Today we're doing a deep dive into, well, a really cool vintage RC project called Project Sandhopper. It's all about taking a classic 1979 Tamiya Sand Scorcher and giving it this really aggressive look and hopefully performance boost. The idea is a square setup, getting those wide paddle tires on all four wheels. Think ultimate dune machine.
All right, sounds awesome visually, but it's not just about bolting on new wheels. There's a pretty major engineering hurdle here. We're talking about a basic incompatibility between the old Sand Scorcher chassis, the SRB, and the kind of wheels needed for those paddles.
Incompatible how, though? I mean, aren't wheels generally interchangeable if they're the right size? What's the specific conflict with the vintage design?
It boils down to what spins. The original Sand Scorcher front end, it's built for realism, mimicking full-size cars.
Right.
It uses what's called a dead axle or spindle. It's fixed, it doesn't rotate.
Okay, fixed axle. So the spin has to happen somewhere else.
Exactly. The rotation happens inside the wheel itself. The original front wheels actually house two little ball bearings, 5 by 11 by 4 millimeter bearings, that let them spin freely on that fixed spindle.
Gotcha. So the wheel is the bearing housing,
Yeah.
but the paddle tires we need, maybe like the ones off a Tamiya Grasshopper's rear end,
Yeah.
those don't have bearings inside, do they?
No, not at all. Those wheels are designed completely differently. They're meant to be locked solid onto a rotating axle, a live axle, usually with a little drive pin. They spin with the axle.
Ah, okay, so there's the clash.
Yeah.
A wheel that expects to be locked to a spinning shaft versus a fixed shaft that expects the wheel to spin around it. They just won't connect.
Precisely. Two fundamentally different systems. You can't make one work with the other directly.
Which means we need a whole new way to mount the wheels. And the solution seems to be converting everything to the modern standard, the 12-millimeter hex system.
That's the key. It's a full conversion using aftermarket parts. You need two different types of adapters, one for the front, one for the back.
All right, let's break that down. The front seems like the tricky one with that fixed spindle.
It is. The solution is pretty clever, actually. It's a special aluminum part, a bearing-supported 12-millimeter hex adapter. This little piece is designed to hold those original 5 by 11 bearings inside itself. So the whole adapter, the hex unit, spins freely on the fixed spindle, basically mimicking what the original wheel did. But now it gives you that modern 12-millimeter hex mounting point. If you're hunting for these, looking for adapters meant for, say, a Tamiya DT03 chassis, often works.
Oh, that's smart. The adapter becomes the new bearing carrier. Okay,
Yeah.
so what about the rear? That axle does spin, right? So is it simpler?
Yeah, much simpler. Because the rear axle is already live, you don't need bearings in the adapter. You just need a direct fit SRB rear hex adapter. It bolts on, replaces the old proprietary Tamiya drive hub, and boom, you've got a 12-millimeter hex output ready for modern wheels.
Okay, mechanical conversion sorted. Front hex spins freely, rear hex spins with the axle. But now the tires themselves, we mentioned Grasshopper paddles, but can you actually use those vintage ones?
Turns out, no. That was the original plan, maybe, but it hits a snag. Those old paddles aren't designed for 12-millimeter hex wheels. And more importantly, their bead diameter, the part that seats on the wheel rim, is tiny, like 1.4 inches. Modern 12-millimeter hex wheels are almost always 2.2 inches. They just won't fit together.
Right, incompatible sizes, so you have to pivot.
You have to pivot. Forget the vintage tires. You need modern 2.2-inch paddle tires that are designed for 12-millimeter hex wheels. Something like G-Concepts paddle pins, for example. High-performance stuff.
Okay, so we've got modern 2.2 paddles on modern hex adapters, front and rear. Finally, the Sandhopper is real. How does it perform on the sand, where it's meant to live?
It's a huge difference. On sand or loose dirt, those front paddles are amazing. They act like rudders, digging in. You get really sharp turn-in, much more steering control. It really cuts down on that typical 2WD understeer where the front just pushes wide in corners.
Sounds great for the dunes. But there's always a trade-off, isn't there? What happens if you take this specialized machine off the sand, say onto pavement or hard-packed clay?
Yeah, that's where you pay the price. On hard surfaces, the handling really suffers. It gets bouncy, it wanders, it's almost undrivable, honestly. Those aggressive front paddles have so much grip, they fight the surface, making it unpredictable. It's transformed from an all-terrain buggy into a pure sand specialist.
So wrapping this up, Project Sandhopper is really quite an achievement in adapting old tech to new standards, but for a very specific purpose. It's not just a cosmetic change.
Exactly. It's a deep modification. And that leads to a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Adding those hex adapters and much wider wheels and tires significantly increases the track width. This means there's a much higher chance the front tires will rub against the inside of that classic VW Beetle body shell when you turn the steering fully. So it makes you think. When you're engineering an RC car for pure peak performance in one area, How much are you willing to compromise on the original aesthetics, like potential body rub? Where do you draw that line?